they're planning to vote down this simple bill. They are going to try to shut the government down. Every House Democrat will participate in this. It looks like that would be a shame if it's true. I hope some of them will have a moment of clarity themselves and do the right thing, but it looks like they're going to try to shut down the government. It's a striking new posture for Democrats who have always said they've just been apoplectic about the prospect of government shutdowns. I put a video out about an hour ago on social media. I encourage you to go see that.
We believe in governance. We want to keep government open. A shutdown is very serious.
There are real consequences when the government shuts down. It harms our national security, it harms our economy, and it harms service members, veterans, retirees, and vulnerable communities.
We all know a shutdown is unnecessary and completely avoidable.
The tragedy here is all the civilian employees. It is the American people who are going to suffer.
Border Patrol agents will not be paid. TSA agents will not be paid. Small businesses will be hurt.
Not only is it irresponsible and purposely misleading, it is dangerous precedent to be threatening a shutdown.
I'm worried about our air controllers, those in the military. We have over almost 40,000 in the military, as well as personnel who work in the military, and they won't have checks. I mean, this is real.
There are real people's lives at stake.
It is not normal to hold 800,000 workers' paychecks hostage. It is not normal to shut down the government when we don't get what we want.
Our troops deserve better. Our children deserve better. And the American people deserve better.
These chaos agents, they don't have a plan B. They just want to see everything burn.
Shutdown is an extremist policy designed to appeal to an extremist base and hold the whole country hostage.
So if this shutdown, you know who's going to feel the pain? You know who it hurts? You.
They have in their own words. You don't need to trust us on this. But Catherine Clark, here's one little zinger from her, quote, "Not only is it irresponsible and purposefully misleading, but it's also a dangerous precedent to be threatening a shutdown," unquote. Now remember, this is in last year, years past. Pramila Jayapal, quote, "The tragedy here is all the civilian employees. It's the employees who are going to suffer," unquote. AOC, quote, "It is not normal to hold 100,000 workers' paychecks hostage. It is not normal to shut down the government when we don't get what we want," unquote. I don't think I've ever agreed with her before. She's exactly right. Jerry Nadler said, quote, "Shutdown is really an extremist policy designed to appeal to an extremist base and hold the whole country hostage." Yeah, we agree. So they and all their colleagues need to do the right thing. Democrats have been insisting they're fighting for federal workers. You're about to see, again, on vivid display, very clear the contrast. You will see one team that is working to fund the government and make sure we do the responsible thing. And you're going to see another posing the CR because they've now exposed the truth. They're not for federal workers. They're not for anyone. All the people they've said in the past that are going to be harmed would be by their votes. They're using federal employees as props. They're using Medicaid benefits and Social Security checks as cudgels in this thing. The threat of government shutdown, they're using it as some sort of attempt to wrestle power away from the President of the United States, who overwhelmingly won the popular vote, the Electoral College, in every single swing state. Here's the bottom line. If congressional Democrats refuse to support this clean CR, they will be responsible for every troop who misses a paycheck, for every flight delay from reduced staffing at TSA, for every negative consequence that comes from shutting down the government.
Well, here we are again. We're at government shutdown time once again. Nobody wants to be here, but nonetheless, here we are. So, quick housekeeping note, as you saw in the thumbnail and I put up yesterday, Ashley had Nancy Mace booked to come on today at 2 o'clock. Obviously, with everything going on with all this crap in the House and the Senate, she's not going to be able to make it today. But we still nonetheless have a huge show of information. At any second now, Caroline Leavitt is going to be coming out and doing the press conference. As soon as she does, we will have that and bring it to you 100% live. You will not miss a single word of the press conference. But in any event, this is where we are right now. I'm going to explain to you what exactly is going on right after the press conference. Don't want to get into it right now because she'll walk out as soon as I start talking to you about it. But needless to say, again, one of the things I've said over and over and over is Republicans / MAGA need to train themselves how to win. Because it's obvious at this point that is going to be a problem moving forward, both in terms of the actual politicians and the people supporting it. I looked all over on X today, and I can't tell you how many people I see on X saying that you got to do it this way and you got to do it that way, when it's not the right way to do it. And I'm not even saying if, I'm not saying I think, I'm not saying I believe. It's not the right way to do it. There's only one right way to do this right now, and Donald Trump is trying to tell the Republicans, you got to do it this way. So one of the things I can tell you before she jumps in is we've done enough interviews with people in Congress so I can feel confident that this is the actual information, not my opinion. If they don't pass this continuing resolution, if that is not passed, then the government will shut down. That's not an if. It will shut down. The Democrats want it to shut down. And you're like, Barry, why would the governments want to shut it down? Because at this point, if the government shuts down, they stop Trump. It's really that simple. Here's why. If the government shuts down, unlike with the continuing resolution, you're going to need 60 votes to reopen. Last time I checked, and I'm talking about in terms of the Senate, last time I checked, we're at 53 with a couple iffies. You know about Susan Collins, you know about Murkowski. There's a few iffies in there. And you need 60, which means you are not going to get 60. At that point, the power shifts to the Democrats because you can't do anything unless they decide to help. Which obviously you can see they're not going to try and help. They're going to try and ram whatever they can to get favor, to hurt Trump, to shut down Doge, which probably a few Republicans are okay with that, in order to open the so-called government. So many of you in chat here who are saying, shut it down, understand what you're asking for. You're asking to hamstring and cripple Donald Trump. See, most people probably aren't going to explain it to you this way. They're going to say, oh, shut it down, don't give in an inch. But right now, you still hold the cards, just like he told Zelensky. As of today, the Republicans hold the cards. You need to keep these people in place. So in addition to all the other ones that may flutter away, that's why Thomas Massie, and that's why Trump came out so strong against Thomas Massie, even though Thomas Massie has been a stalwart for the conservative movement, even though he has been just one of these people that's bare knuckles about conservatism, he's wrong right now. This isn't the hill you want to die on, Mr. Massie. I understand it's about principle. I understand you have an ideology, which for the most part, I completely support. The problem, which I will reiterate once Caroline is done, is you're cutting up your nose to spite your face. And that's why Trump is so pissed off at him. He's telling him, live to fight another day. Don't be stupid here. Don't be hung up. Don't plant your flag in quicksand. Because that's what Thomas Massie is doing. He's got a virtuous flag. Everything he says makes complete sense. I 100 support what Thomas Massie says, except not in this time frame. For you to carry this flag that you want to carry, that many people support, it's not the time to put that flag in quicksand. Because if nothing happens, if the continuing resolution is not passed, Trump is pretty much going to be done for quite some time. So understand, as you're cheering and as you're saying shut it down, that's where the difference comes. Many people might not be telling you this. They fail here, it's going to take 60 votes to reopen the government. And how do you think those 60 votes are going to come? Those 60 votes are going to have to come with some acquiescence, and the Republicans are going to have to give in to the Democrats in order to get the government open again. You don't want to do that. You've got these people against the wall. Finish them. So every one of you should be out there hitting Massie and talking to every person that's trying to back him and say, I agree, just not now. Just not now. Fight your fight in September. You're not giving in. You still believe what you believe. We still believe in what you believe. But big picture here. Big picture here. You have to know how to win. And right now, Thomas Massie is positioning himself as if he doesn't know how to win. He knows exactly it's going to take 60 votes to reopen the government if it shuts down. What do you think is going to happen? Think to yourself, what will happen if we have to give in to the Democrats in order to open the government? That's going to be a pretty simple thing. So Barry, well, if it takes 60 to do that, what about in September? That's where it's different. That's where I'm going to have to get into it with you a little bit before we move on in the show. If they pass the continuing resolution that just goes to September, then you can do what's called a process called budget reconciliation. You have the opportunity to convert a short-term stalemate into a huge flipping win. You see, a budget reconciliation only takes 51. Now you see the difference here? Hey, listen, let's not fight them here. Let's hold our ground and just, go ahead and vote for what you don't want to vote for now, understanding your battle is in September. And we can win in September, win for a long time. If we get to September, we don't need 60 votes. Government is extremely complicated. They didn't write it to make it easy. They wrote it so that it would be controversial and people could, do all kinds of different things to subvert the will of the people. She's up right now, so let's take a listen.
There's a lot of news today, so I look forward to taking your questions. Good to see you. And I have some updates for you as well. Later today, President Trump will address the Business Roundtable's quarterly meeting, where he will tout his pro-growth economic agenda and answer questions before more than 100 of our nation's leading CEOs. In fact, it's the largest attendance ever for this event because business leaders are so eager and encouraged by President Trump's return to Washington. This follows President Trump's roundtable yesterday with the Technology CEO Council here at the White House, where he met with key leaders in the technology industry. And last night, President Trump also held an official swearing-in ceremony in the Oval Office for Sean Curran, who is now the 28th Director of the United States Secret Service. Sean demonstrated unbelievable bravery under gunfire in Butler, Pennsylvania this past July when an assassin tried to kill President Trump. As someone who got to know Sean personally throughout the campaign last year, I can say unequivocally that there is nobody better suited for this important role. And following the confirmation of Labor Secretary Lori Chavez DeRomer last night, the Senate has now confirmed 20-level nominees, far outpacing the previous administration. And looking ahead, tomorrow, the President will welcome the Taoiseach Micheál Martin of Ireland for the annual White House Shamrock ceremony. And Thursday, President Trump will welcome the NATO Secretary General for a working meeting and lunch. On the economy, February's jobs report was good news for America, particularly our manufacturing sector. The manufacturing sector gained 10,000 new jobs in just 1 month under President Trump. This rebound was led by the automobile sector, where we saw 9,000 new auto jobs created already. That is the most auto jobs added to the economy in 15 months. This was a complete turnaround from the Biden administration, where we were losing an average of 9,000 manufacturing jobs per month last year. Reuters is out with a report that a number of companies are now looking at expanding their presence or bringing their businesses into America because of President Trump's policies. And just moments ago, before coming out here, I saw another report by Reuters revealing that Merck has opened a $1 billion facility at its North Carolina site. This is just the latest pharmaceutical company to boost its U.S. manufacturing in lieu of President Trump's tariffs. This announcement follows Eli Lilly's plans to invest at least $27 billion to build 4 new manufacturing plants here in the United States. And Pfizer has also said it's considering moving their manufacturing overseas right here to the United States. Of a report by Reuters revealing that Merck has opened a $1 billion facility at its North Carolina. Say the profits stay here, the revenue stays here, and most importantly, the jobs stay here. And despite the globalist mainstream media's attempts to worry consumers, President Trump will not repeat the trend of past American presidents who broke their promises to the American public and smiled while they stuck a knife in the back of American workers and shipped their jobs overseas. Our country has lost more than 5 million jobs and more than 90,000 factories due to devastating globalization over the last 3 decades alone. North Carolina lost 300,000 furniture manufacturing jobs in the years following NAFTA. And in Michigan, globalist policies destroyed 250,000 jobs, including 40% of the auto industry, which again we know is clawing back because of President Trump's action already. These are harrowing statistics that represent countless towns and families who have been completely destroyed. But the America Last globalist era is ending under President Trump. He will no longer allow our country and our workers, our hard-working American families, to be ripped off. On another very important issue for the president, he continues to work hard to secure the border. If you missed it yesterday, CBP launched an enhanced home mobile app with a new feature, the Intent to Depart, which offers unlawfully present aliens or those aliens whose parole has been revoked an orderly and defined process to notify the U.S. government of their intent to depart the country. The CBP Home app strengthens our mission to secure the border and provides illegal aliens with a straightforward way to leave now before facing much harsher consequences later. A mobile app with a new feature, the Intent to Depart, which offers unlawfully present aliens or those aliens whose parole has been revoked an orderly and defined process to notify the U.S. government of their intent to depart the country. The CBP Home app strengthens our mission to secure the border and provides illegal aliens with a straightforward way to leave now before facing much harsher consequences later. A new report from Bloomberg just found that the number of aliens trying to reach our country by traveling through the jungle to Central America dropped a whopping 99% last month. And this follows the incredible news that illegal border crossings plummeted last month as well, down 94% at our southern border from last February under the Biden administration. As President Trump made clear during his historic address to Congress, we must finish this job and continue to carry out the largest deportation campaign in American history. And that is why the president fully endorses the continuing resolution that is before Congress and was negotiated by Speaker Johnson. He is encouraging all Republicans to vote yes on this clean CR, which freezes funding at current levels and will prevent the Democrats from getting their long-awaited government shutdown. Voting against this CR will hurt the American people and kill the incredible momentum that President Trump has built over the past 51 days. And lastly, before I take questions, I would like to commend the Washington Post, who I believe is in the room today. According to a new report from Axios, the Washington Post is overhauling their newsroom structure. It appears that the mainstream media, including the Post, is finally learning that having disdain for more than half of the country who supports this president does not help you sell newspapers. It's not a very good business model. And that's why we have people in our new media seat. And today we have Sargar Anetti, who is the host of Breaking Points, a popular political YouTube news and podcast show that has racked up nearly 1 billion views on YouTube, several hundred million podcast downloads since its launch in June 2021. He's also a 4 billion views on YouTube, several hundred million podcast downloads since its launch in June 2021. He's also a former member of the White House Correspondents Association, but is now a part of the thriving independent media. We're very happy to have you with us here today. Why don't you kick off our briefing? Thank you.
Really appreciate you having me, Caroline. A couple of questions for you, if I may. First on the stock market. So currently it's the 25th anniversary today of the dot-com bubble crash. There's a lot of concern for a lot of Americans right now about the state of the economy. President Trump has refused to rule out a recession. Secretary Lutnick, however, has told us there will not be one. So can the White House just tell and assure Americans today that there's not going to be a recession?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. So let me start by saying that, first of all, when it comes to the stock market, the numbers that we see today, the numbers we saw yesterday, the numbers we will see tomorrow are a snapshot of a moment in time. And as President Trump has said, and I'm here to echo the remarks of this president of this White House, we are in a period of economic transition. We are in a period of transition from the mess that was created under Joe Biden in the previous administration. Joe Biden left this country in an economic disaster. Several statistics to point out. The delinquency rate on credit card loans increased 63% under Joe Biden, hitting a near 12-year high. Under Joe Biden, all net job growth went to foreign-born Americans. Real wages declined by 1.5% under Joe Biden. And as we all know, and this administration continues to combat, prices soared more than 20% under Joe Biden because of his reckless spending and economic policies. So we are in a period of transition from that economic nightmare under a president who had no idea what he was doing, never held a private sector job in his life, into a golden age of American manufacturing under a businessman and a deal maker in chief in President Donald J. Trump, who is implementing the formula that we know works. Look at President Trump's results in his first term. If people are looking for certainty, they should look at the record of this president. That's why the American people reelected him back to this office. And look at everything that President Trump has already done and his team has already done in just 51 days. The massive efforts to deregulate, tax cuts, which we need Congress to pass the Trump economic agenda, the Trump tax cuts, which will unleash economic growth. And the president also addressed this directly, I will point out as well, when you look at what he said on Air Force One, and he said he wants the American people to have so much money in their pockets they don't even know what to do with it. That's the intent of this administration, and we're working very hard every day on that goal.
Second question on the CR. So President Trump came out today in a primary challenge against Congressman Thomas Massie. Congressman Massie's been a supporter of DOGE. He's been a supporter of Make America Healthy Again. What kind of message is this White House sending against a congressman who's sticking up for principles that he's long held in the chamber and voting against continuing resolution and spending?
I think the president has made it very clear that he believes it's critical for conservatives and Republicans and frankly all members of Congress to get behind this continuing resolution to keep the government funded. The president wants to continue the momentum that he has built over the last 51 days. In order to keep the government funded, we got to keep moving with these deportations, and he believes that everybody needs to get on board with this bill. He's been active in this process. He's been making calls to get this over the finish line, and we're urging every Republican and Democrats too to do what's right for the American public to prevent a government shutdown.
Just the last question here on Mahmoud Khalil. Does the administration believe that it needs to charge a green card holder with a crime to be eligible for deportation?
Well, in fact, Secretary Rubio reserves the right to revoke the visa of Mahmoud Khalil, and I'm glad you brought this up. Under the Immigration and Nationality Act, the Secretary of State has the right to revoke a green card or a visa for individuals who serve or are adversarial to the foreign policy and national security interests of the United States of America. And Mahmoud Khalil was an individual who was given the privilege of coming to this country to study at one of our nation's finest universities and colleges. And he took advantage of that opportunity, of that privilege, by siding with terrorists, Hamas terrorists who have killed innocent men, women, and children. This is an individual who organized group protests that not only disrupted college campus classes and harassed Jewish American students and made them feel unsafe on their own college campus, but also distributed pro-Hamas propaganda, flyers with the logo of Hamas. That is what the behavior and activity that this individual engaged in. And I have those flyers on my desk. They were provided to me by the Department of Homeland Security. I thought about bringing them into this briefing room to share with all of you, but I didn't think it was worth the dignity of this room to bring that pro-Hamas propaganda. But that's what this individual distributed on the campus of Columbia University. And this administration is not going to tolerate individuals having the privilege of studying in our country and then siding with pro-terrorist organizations that have killed Americans. We have a zero tolerance policy for siding with terrorists, period. Peter Ducey.
Thank you, Caroline. So you said that the Dow dropping and dropping and dropping is a period of transition. You're sure nobody here at the White House shorted the Dow?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. But is there any concern here that it's going to be harder to ask certain federal workers to retire if they look at their retirement accounts and they're getting robbed every day?
Well, I'm glad you brought up workers, because that's exactly who President Trump is looking out for with his America First trade policy and his America First economic agenda. And if you look at, there's great indication to be optimistic about where the economy stands. And the American people, investors, CEOs, small business owners, but most importantly, workers, should bet on President Trump, because his tariff policies, what he envisions is reciprocity, fair trade practices where American workers are put first and are no longer ripped off by foreign countries all over this world.
President Trump says he's going to buy a Tesla today. Did he buy it? And when is the last time he drove a car?
That's a very good question. I have heard the president remark that he misses being able to drive, that luxury of driving his own vehicle, although the beast is nice. But he is going to be viewing a Tesla that is making its way to the White House complex now, I can confirm. Perhaps the press pool today will have an opportunity to witness this very exciting moment later this afternoon. But Tesla is on its way here now, and we'll see if the president likes it when he checks it out.
So they're bringing him a Tesla to look at, and if he likes it, he's just going to buy it.
You know, he's definitely going to buy one, but he'll take a look at it when it gets here later this afternoon.
Full retail?
Yes, full market price. Kelly.
Can we talk about Canada? What is the status of President Trump having a conversation with Mark Carney? We have seen the president use the term governor to refer to Justin Trudeau. Will that moniker also go to Mr. Carney going forward? And is the decision to increase the tariffs, is that based on a specific economic metric that he looked at? Is it impulse? How would you describe his reaction to Canada?
The president has not yet spoken to Mr. Carney, not since I checked, which was just moments ago. But certainly his phone is always open to leaders who wish to speak with him. As for the tariffs, the president made his position on this quite clear with the statement that he put out. And it was a retaliatory statement due to the escalation of rhetoric that we've seen out of Ontario, Canada. The president saw the Premier, Doug Ford, make an egregious and insulting comment threatening to shut down electricity for the American people, for hardworking American families. He made that threat. The president saw that and has an obligation and a responsibility to respond accordingly and represent the interests of the American people. So he has made the decision to add a 25% tariff. So now steel and aluminum tariffs will come into effect tomorrow at the rate of 50%. And our steel and aluminum industries have actually applauded these tariffs because, again, they know it's going to grow their industry here. It's going to allow them to export more steel that is made right here in the United States with American workers.
Egregious and insulting are your words here, but that's what many Canadian leaders have said about the actions President Trump has taken toward Canada. And what do you think the timeline is for speaking to Mr. Carney? Because normally a sitting president speaks to a close ally very quickly when there's new leadership.
Well, the president is, again, responding to the fact that Canada has been ripping off the United States of America and hardworking Americans for decades. If you look at the rates of tariffs across the board that Canadians have been imposing on the American people and our workers here, it is egregious. In fact, I have a handy-dandy chart here that shows not just Canada, but the rate of tariffs across the board. If you look at Canada, since you brought it up, American cheese and butter, nearly 300% tariff. You look at India, 150% tariff on American alcohol. You think that's helping Kentucky bourbon be exported into India? I don't think so. 100% tariff on agricultural products from India. Look at Japan, tariffing rice, 700%. President Trump believes in reciprocity, and it is about dang time that we have a president who actually looks out for the interests of American businesses and workers. And all he's asking for at the end of the day are fair and balanced trade practices, and unfortunately, Canada has not been treating us very fairly at all over the past several decades. To the woman in the purple, because I saw you were making a face at my previous answer, so what's going on?
Well, actually, I have a couple of questions. At the core of pro-Palestinian protests on college campuses and elsewhere is a demand to end the war in Gaza, a goal that this administration actually supports and has pursued. So why has this not been acknowledged or highlighted even?
Because these colleges and these protests have again put out Hamas propaganda. The flyers that have been distributed call for violence. The flyers that have been distributed have the logo of an organization that has held Americans hostage, that murdered innocent babies, that murdered men, women, and children. They are a designated foreign terrorist organization, and we are not going to tolerate non-citizens, foreigners who come here on a visa, engaging in such behavior, siding with terrorists. And the Secretary of State reserves the authority to revoke the green card or the visa of an individual who serves as an actually it says right here, reasonable grounds to believe that the alien's presence or activities in the United States would have potentially serious adverse foreign policy consequences to the United States. And I think siding with Hamas makes that quite clear. Secretary Rubio exercised that authority, and we fully believe that we are going to move forward with more arrests, as President Trump previewed in his statement yesterday. Ed.
Yeah, thanks.
Go ahead.
So are there conversations between the administration and the Canadians going on over this tariff? Because the Ontario Premier says the next step is to cut off electricity to the U.S.
And the president put out a statement after seeing those comments and said that it would be there would be grave consequences imposed on Canada if they think about shutting off electricity for the United States of America and our citizens. And the president is also determined to ensure that we are depending on American electricity, not the electricity production of foreign nations, including our allies in Canada. As for conversations, there is continued correspondence between the president's team, particularly Secretary Lutnick, and the Canadians as well.
And in the market reaction, how do you sell to the American people then, after they're looking at what's happening in the markets this week, and say that the tariff policy long term is something good?
Well, just think about what the tariff policy long-term will do for our country. I think many of us probably grew up in small towns. I know at least I did, and the main street in my small town looks a heck of a lot worse than it probably did decades ago before I was alive. At least my parents and grandparents tell me so. And I know many Americans feel that same way. What the president envisions for this country is for the United States of America to be a manufacturing superpower, where there are American factories and businesses owned by Americans, producing goods that we are exporting to the rest of the world. Those revenues will stay here. It will increase wages for people here in our great country. It will ensure our national security, and it will boost the morale of the American people to have thriving industries again. Think about Detroit, Michigan. Think about North Carolina, as I mentioned, that used to have a thriving furniture industry that no longer exists because of the globalist trade policies of previous and past administrations. And the American people gave the president a tremendous opportunity to restore American greatness and restore our manufacturing dominance, and he's intent on doing just that. John.
Thanks, Caroline. Two questions for you. First, on the CR, you put up on the screen the president's message to Republicans to support this continuing resolution. Is there outreach to Democrats? Because what we've seen since the beginning of the fiscal year is that in order to get a continuing resolution, you need bipartisan support and you need compromise.
Well, right now, we are focused on House Republicans and on the House, because that's the first step, as you know, John. And so the president has engaged in correspondence with House Republicans, whipping votes and getting them to a yes, which I understand has been pretty successful this morning thus far. And so, again, the president is encouraging Republicans especially, but again, as I said, all members of Congress to vote to continue funding this government so we can continue the business of the American people, which elected President Trump to do.
And then on financial markets, we've seen this decline yesterday. We see it today as well. It seems that the read on the president's policies is one in which they do not have confidence in his trade tariffs policy. They do not have confidence in what the president said to Fox News over the weekend, that he didn't rule out the idea of a recession. What is your read in terms of the decline that we've seen over the last week and a half in financial markets?
Well, I think there's actually a lot of reason to be confident, and many people do feel confident. Just look at the nearly $2 trillion in private investment that this president has secured. Look at the comments made by the CEO of Apple, one of the biggest companies in this world, who said that he is bullish on the future of American innovation under the leadership of President Trump. Look at CEO confidence. According to the Conference Board measure of CEO confidence, in Q1 2025, under the leadership of this president, it jumped to its highest level in 3 years, from cautious optimism to confident optimism. If you, again, look at the $2 trillion in investments from some of the biggest companies in the world. Look at the jobs report last Friday. As I also cited in my opening remarks, Fox Business reported that Trump sees a manufacturing boom in first full jobs report of his second term. Look at the auto jobs that have already poured back into America. We added 9,000 new auto jobs. Those are sticky jobs. Those are good paying jobs. That's 9,000 American families who will now be able to live the American dream because of the policies of this administration. You also look at small business optimism. The NFIB put out a report this morning. Small business optimism continues to be far higher than it ever was under the previous administration. There's a lot of reason to be optimistic. And again, the American people, CEOs and people on Wall Street and on Main Street should bet on this president. He is a deal maker, he is a businessman, and he's doing what's right for our country. He wants to restore wealth to the United States of America. Michael, good to see you.
Hey, Caroline, thank you. 2 questions, if I may. Will the administration be providing any relief to states affected by the Ontario power tariff?
Well, the president has made it very clear that Canada would be very wise not to shut off electricity for the American people, and we hope that that does not happen. As for what would happen if that does take place, I'll leave it to the president to make those decisions.
And does President Trump share the Justice Department's concern over rising egg prices and possible collusion of big egg?
Well, we definitely do share the concerns of the American people when it comes to the price of eggs. However, good news, the average cost of a dozen eggs is actually down since Secretary Rollins and President Trump announced their plan. It's down $1.85. So that's good news on the cost of eggs. And as we know, under the Biden administration, egg prices went up 22%. This is another example of an economic mess that President Trump inherited, and the Secretary of Agriculture and the president are focused on fixing it. Secretary Rollins put out a 4-point plan rather, to address this crisis. And she has been honest and realistic with the American people, as this administration always is. It will take about 3 to 6 months to get the egg supply back to where it should be. But she's focused, and this administration is focused on doing that every day. Karen.
Thanks, Caroline. Just back on the markets, you said that what we're seeing this week right now on Wall Street is a snapshot of a moment in time. But does the president think he bears any responsibility for the turmoil in the stock market this week?
Look, the president is unwavering in his commitment to restore American manufacturing and global dominance. And I think he doubled down on that this morning with his new statement and the tariffs that will be implemented tomorrow on steel and aluminum.
And he has said recently he's not looking at the market. He said you can't really watch the stock market, but all of the gains since Election Day have been erased in the S&P 500. At what point, how far do stocks have to fall before the president considers it a factor and changes course?
Again, as I just said, the president will look out for Wall Street and for Main Street, just like he did in his first term. And people on Wall Street and Main Street should bet on this president. He's doing what's right for this country. Nick, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you, Caroline. So, is the president prepared, like what we saw with Congressman Massie, to pressure other Republican lawmakers into supporting this continuing resolution?
Well, he is very much, as I said, engaged in this process. He's been making calls to lawmakers on Capitol Hill, and I think his statements against Congressman Massie speak for themselves, and I will let the president put out any additional statements if he chooses to, but he fully expects all House Republicans to vote for this continuing resolution.
And just to follow up, can we start to anticipate seeing more of the president weighing in on upcoming 2026 races like we saw this morning?
I'm not sure about that. I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to speak about that from this podium. I would check in with our outside political team for guidance on future races and the president's involvement. Elena.
Thank you. I wanted to ask about some comments Elon Musk made yesterday. He said that there is $500 to $700 billion in waste and fraud and entitlement spending. He called it, quote, the big one to eliminate. Earlier this month, he also referred to Social Security as a Ponzi scheme. Should Americans expect changes, big changes, to Social Security and Medicare?
President Trump has been unequivocally clear on this. He is going to protect Social Security and Medicare benefits and Medicaid for hardworking Americans who paid into these entitlement programs and deserve those hard-earned benefits. And unfortunately, the mainstream media has taken Mr. Musk out of context. I saw a Bloomberg headline that our team actually worked on getting updated and fixed because it was so wrong, and it took Mr. Musk out of context. What he was specifically referring to cutting was the waste and the fraud and abuse that does exist in these programs. According to an IG report from the Social Security Administration, there's more than $70 billion of fraud in the Social Security program alone that we know of. And so the president will continue to protect these programs for hardworking Americans, and actually cutting the waste, fraud, and abuse out of these programs will protect it for hardworking Americans.
Okay, respectfully, he said around $500 to $700 billion. There was no evidence to claim that. And also, if that is the case, that would represent more than a third of what Social Security paid out last year, maybe 20% of Social Security and Medicare.
Again, if you read his full quote, he said, we think. So it's an estimate based on what he's seen. He's not saying definitively. He's saying that's what DOJ suspects and thinks. And that's exactly why DOJ was created, to ensure that we are investigating the fraudulent spending, the wasteful abuse across our federal government. And I would remind everybody in this room that 77% of the American people support this effort by Elon Musk and DOJ to identify such waste, fraud, and abuse.
Caroline.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline.
You're welcome.
If we could just step back for a second. When President Trump last addressed the BRT when he was on the campaign trail, his big push was on tax cuts. He's going there today as he's proposing tax hikes in the form of tariffs. I'm curious why he's prioritizing that over the tax cuts.
He's actually not implementing tax hikes. Tariffs are a tax hike on foreign countries that, again, have been ripping us off. Tariffs are a tax cut for the American people, and the president is a staunch advocate of tax cuts. As you know, he campaigned on no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, no taxes on Social Security benefits. He is committed to all three of those things, and he expects Congress to pass them later this year.
I'm sorry, have you ever paid a tariff? Because I have.
That's
They don't get charged on foreign companies, they get charged on the importers.
And ultimately, when we have fair and balanced trade,
idiot.
which the American people have not seen in decades, as I said at the beginning, revenues will stay here, wages will go up, and our country will be made wealthy again. And I think it's insulting that you're trying to test my knowledge of economics and the decisions that this president has made. I'm now regret giving a question to the Associated Press. Mary, go ahead.
The first one was on Russia, Ukraine. I know Special Envoy Witkoff said yesterday that Zelensky apologized in his letter to Trump. Can you share any more about that letter and what else might be interesting from it that we don't know?
Yes, the president did reference that letter, as you're saying, in his joint address to Congress. And I do have an update. As you know, Secretary of State Rubio and our National Security Advisor Mike Waltz have been negotiating with the Ukrainians today in Saudi. They will be providing a full readout of that meeting very soon. But I can assure you and everybody here and the American people that the news we've received from that meeting throughout the day and the president has been briefed on is positive. This meeting has been productive. I will let Secretary of State Rubio and our National Security Advisor speak to the specifics of what has taken place today when they are ready to do so when the meeting concludes. Lindsay, go ahead.
Referring to Mahmoud Khalil, The president has said this is the first of many arrests like this. Does the administration have a rough estimate of how many arrests you're planning to make similar?
I don't have an estimate. I do know that DHS, based on very good intel that they have gathered at the direction of the president's executive order, which made it very clear to the Department of Homeland Security that engaging, as I said, in anti-American, anti-Semitic, pro-Hamas protests will not be tolerated. So since the president signed that executive order and since Secretary of Known has taken the oath at DHS, they have been using intelligence to identify individuals on our nation's colleges and universities, on our college campuses, who have engaged in such behavior and activity, and especially illegal activity. And so I don't have a readout on how many arrests will come, but I do know that DHS is actively working on it. And I also know that Columbia University has been given the names of other individuals who have engaged in pro-Hamas activity, and they are refusing to help DHS identify those individuals on campus. And as the president said very strongly in his statement yesterday, he is not going to tolerate that. And we expect all America's colleges and universities to comply with this administration's policy. Jasmine.
On Canada, after all of these threats to increase tariffs or turn off electricity, I wonder, does this administration still consider Canada to be a close ally of the United States?
Well, I think Canada is a neighbor. They are a partner. They have always been an ally. Perhaps they are becoming a competitor now. But as the president also laid out in his Truth Social post today, he believes that Canadians would benefit greatly from becoming the 51st state of the United States of America. And I actually looked into some of the research about the cost of living in Canada, and the cost of living is much higher than it is here in the United States of America. The average cost of a home in Canada is much higher. In Quebec, the highest tax rate for an income of $150,000 or more is 53.3%, more than half of Canadians' incomes they are being taxed on. So the president has made it clear that he believes Canadians would be better served economically, militarily, if they were to become the 51st state of the United States of America. Reagan.
Thank you, Caroline. A week ago, Attorney General Bondi said a truckload of Epstein files had been delivered to her office from the SDNY. When can we expect those files to be released to the public?
I would defer you to the Department of Justice. I don't have a timeline here.
Do you have any update on the JFK files?
I don't at this moment. Again, I would defer you to our DNI director, Tulsi Gabbard, and also the Department of Justice. I know that they are working on that diligently, as the president requested them to do. Christian.
Thanks, Caroline. Two questions. Since we've been talking a lot about tariffs, have there been any updates on standing up the External Revenue Service to collect revenue from there?
Well, we need reciprocal tariffs to go into effect first, and as you know, the president will be rolling those out on April 2nd, and then the next start of that process is collecting that revenue to ultimately create the External Revenue Service, which Secretary Lutnick is working very hard on and is quite enthusiastic about, if you have noticed from his media interviews.
Can the president do that through executive action, or will it require legislation?
Well, the president already signed an executive order to direct the Secretary of Commerce to establish the External Revenue Service, or at least to identify ways in which it can be done. I would defer you to the Department of Commerce for more on specifics on that. Sure, in the back.
Thank you very much, Caroline. I have a few questions on South Korea and North Korea. First question, as you know, South Korean President Yoon has been released from illegal detention. What is the reaction of the United States as an ally? Is there a possibility of a summit with President Trump when President Yoon returns? Second question on North Korea. North Korea launched the several ballistic missiles into the West Coast yesterday. What is the White House's reaction on this?
Sure. Yes, I'll start with your question on North Korea. We condemn these actions, and we call on North Korea to stop their unlawful and destabilizing actions. As for South Korea, the U.S. and Republic of Korea's alliance is ironclad, and the Trump administration remains in close contact with our South Korean counterparts as we work together to promote a free and open Indo-Pacific. Sure.
First question you didn't answer that release of a South Korean president from jail.
I don't have anything on that, but I can certainly check in with the National Security Council and get back to you. Sure, good to see you.
Press Secretary, many are concerned about the validity of President Biden's official actions and also his pardons of the possible criminal actions of individuals such as his family members and Liz Cheney, as information is emerging that many of his official actions were auto-signed, possibly even the pardons, and without his knowledge or consent. Does the White House have any information available currently that Biden was actually the one that approved and signed those pardons? And second question, will the DOJ investigate whether President Biden's cognitive decline allowed unelected staff to push through radical policy and pardons without his knowing approval?
I don't know the answer to that question, but I can check in with our folks here who may know the answer to that question and get back to you. Dasha, go ahead.
You did a great job articulating the vision that President Trump has for what his tariffs, he believes his tariffs can do in terms of bringing jobs back to the United States. I asked you last week about how much Americans might need to buckle up for some short-term pain, a conversation that with the President and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent have had with the people. I'm wondering, how high is the pain threshold for President Trump and for this White House as you watch some of the turbulence in the stock markets, as you field concerns from businesses and potentially see some of those approval ratings drop in the short term? How much is he willing to stomach that, and will he stay committed to his vision for tariffs even as all of this comes up?
Well, the president has been working hard every single day to alleviate the pain that was inflicted by the previous administration through massive deregulation, through drill baby drill, as we like to call it, unleashing the might of our energy industry, which we know will ultimately drive down costs for consumers here at home. And again, as I mentioned, the president is intent on signing tax cuts for the American people to put more money back into their pockets, which will ultimately unlock consumer confidence. And again, I'll reiterate the president's words in layman's terms as he does best. The president wants the American people to have so much more money in their pockets, they don't know what to do with it. That's the goal of this administration, through tariffs, through tax cuts, through deregulation, and through unleashing the potential of our energy industry. I have two more quick notes before I wrap up. April 28th, I can confirm that the Philadelphia Eagles will be here at the White House to celebrate their Super Bowl victory. I know there was a lot of fake news about an invitation that wasn't sent or was sent. We want to correct the record. We sent an invitation. They enthusiastically accepted, and you will see them here on April 28th. And lastly, on a sad note, I would like to express our condolences to Fox News and to the entire Fox family who did lose a cameraman, Craig Savage, who passed away at 61 years old recently. A very tragic death, an individual who was a great man and covered this building for many, many years. So the entire press office, the communications office here wants to express our condolences with his family and also with Fox News. And I'll see you guys later. Perhaps you'll see the president in a Tesla later this afternoon. Have a good one.
Well, that was fun. Oh my God, these people just drive me absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. They ask the same questions over and over from a different slant, hoping that things will change. Now they're so focused on the stock market, but they weren't focused on the stock market, months ago. I want to show you something. This is very interesting when you take a look at this. Of course, none of them will even bother showing you this, but I'm going to show it to you because it's very interesting. Okay, so let me see if I can bring it up on this camera. Excuse me, so you guys can see this. Okay, I can bring it up here. This is the Dow as it sits right now. And when you look at the Dow, you can see it at 41,291.01. This is the intraday, 1 day. This is just today. And then you can go out, and here's the 5 day. Oh, wow, that looks really bad. Oh, my gosh. Then you look at the 1 month, and it's like, oh, still down. But I want to take you back. I want to take you back to a time, I don't know, last year when Biden was president. So let's zoom out, shall we? So if you zoom out a year, and now you've got the entire year in your purview. To the left, this is looks like March of 2024, and it just bounced along. And notice in March of 2024, it was only at 38, and people weren't complaining. and then it went up, and then it dipped back down here to 38 again. Didn't see a whole lot of people complaining. Then it started going, then it dipped, and it goes, and then something happens, I don't know, right here? Something called an election goes from here to boom, November 5th and 6th and 7th, right through here. And then after people realize Trump is in, it starts going up, up and up. Funny, you weren't talking about it back last March. Nobody wanted to discuss what was going on in the stock market. Now that we see a dip off here and it drops, now everybody thinks the sky is falling in. But you didn't want to discuss that a few months ago. Gotcha. We understand you're fake. My job here is to make sure you're educated with it. So in addition to that, what's happening is what's called a sell-off. And you're seeing a correction in the market. And that correction is overinflated valuation of certain companies, and in other companies, oh hey, we're going to be able to compete, and their numbers are going up. See, what they don't talk about are the stocks and companies that are improving in value. Because if I'm a company who happens to, be in Canada or, I don't know, Mexico, and that's where I've been making my money, then the stock's probably going to come down. Because, hey, it's a little bit uncertainty. However, if I'm a company someplace else that's not getting hit with a tariff, what do you think's happening? Oh, yeah, theirs are going up. The other thing these people never talk to you about, when that one guy raises his hand, I pay a tariff. No crap, bozo, we all pay tariffs. You know why? Because there's companies in other countries that tariff the hell out of us, but you never talk about it. Why is that? Because you love the idea of wealth redistribution. You don't care if America's being hit. You just don't want America to hit back. So the other tariffs, those are okay. Those aren't the bad ones. We're America. We can afford to pay more. Well, if we could afford to pay more, then what are you complaining about? What I'd like you to do is find out all of the products that you normally buy, where they come from, and find out what kind of reciprocal tariffs are placed on those countries. And then you're going to go, oh, really? This country is making us pay a tariff. This country is making us pay a tariff, but we don't have anything on them. Do you realize how many countries are tariffing us that we don't have a reciprocal tariff back? And that's what Trump has been saying. Hey, April 2nd's coming. And April 2nd, we're going to hit back. We're going to slap back on you. You've been taking advantage of America. So what you're seeing is a lot of these companies who may be in these reciprocal prone areas going, oops, we're in trouble. Dump the stock. Then you got other companies that are like, we're going to be sitting good. People come buy ours, but nobody wants to talk about them, except for me. So I'm going to talk to you about them. So right now, and this is going to be very hard to see, so you may have to lean in on this, okay? I just want to show you this. You can go, and if it even interests you, you can go and look at this chart here. This chart here will tell you the most active sold stock right now, and it changes per minute, trending, the top gainers and the top losers. So right now I have the top losers selected, and there's a whole lot of companies here that are getting butt-reamed and they're losing money. Verizon, Delta, Expedia, Sirius, and they're Moderna, and they're losing money. Their stock valuations are going down. American Airlines, perhaps their stock valuations were inflated to begin with. Not to get too far in the weeds, but there's something over here called the PE ratio. And I want you to look at the PE ratio. What that means is profit to earnings. Are you making any money? Are you making a profit? Or you people love your stock because it sounds cool. And you notice there's a lot of empty P&Es. They're not making any money. but people hold those stocks. Then you could go to the top gainers. And when you click on the top gainers, you see companies here. This company called the Hesai Group, they're up 42%. Their stock exploded. Paymentus Holdings up 23%. Guardant Health up 16%. All these companies in the green, their stocks are up. But notice how many of these haven't made any money. There's a P&E ratio right there. So what I'm showing this for you is that there's a whole lot of stuff out there that's speculative. And because it's speculative and it's not like a hard, essentially that's a good reason why he took Twitter private. There's nothing to hold. They don't make anything. There's no product. And so a lot of these companies that are speculative, they're realizing at this point, the bottom is going to correct. We are not as valuable as we've puffed ourselves up to be, or had others puff us up. I hope I'm not going to get in the weeds too much with you. I won't spend too much time here. But then you get into this chart, which is the most active. NVIDIA is probably one of the best investments out there right now, and it's stable. They're still, they're still profitable. It's gone up 2.57. Ford Motor Company lost 3. Tesla, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Does that say Tesla is up? Oh my. How could that be? How could Tesla be up? Oh wow, look at their profit to earning ratio, and look at, oh my God, they're making money. The Tesla stock is up. I would think the media would be telling everybody that with all the terrorism going on against Elon Musk and how his companies suck, that they'd be highlighting the fact of what Tesla has happened. With everything that everybody is trying to do to Tesla, it's not working. It was down, earlier, which is and boom, it's back up. I'm shocked. I tell you, as they said in the movie Casablanca. Bottom line is, when they're saying the stock market is down, you don't know which companies are overvalued and which companies are undervalued. And so what's going to happen is some of the companies that are strong are going to rise. Some of the companies that aren't backed or aren't foreign and aren't being artificially inflated by, USAID, they're going to tank. Remember, what we've seen over the last month is that there has been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars where people are going, where did this money go? Right there. Right there. A lot of it has been to inflate and overinflate certain businesses, certain economies, the news media. And so right now, everybody's freaked out except the people who don't need to be freaked out. If your 401k or anything you have tied into something, it might be time to open up and start digging in and saying, oh, where do you have my money? And if they've got it tied to some of these fake companies, when I say fake, not making any money, that kind of thing, then you may want to take a look at that yourself. It's absolutely crazy right now what people are doing. And then because they're doing it and they're getting away with it, they're freaking people out in a big, bad way. So I didn't want to go too far there, but I just wanted you to understand everything isn't as it appears. Look who's freaking out and look who's not. Just wanted to let you know. And I'm going to show this to you, and I'm not saying you need to, but this is gold and silver. Gold, $29.17 an ounce. And since, let's see here, since November 24th, you basically got a hockey stick in terms of the value. 29.17, and it's done nothing but basically go up. And you see the dip here? Buy the dip, and it keeps going up. If your trend line is a certain way, same thing with silver. Look at this. It's just 32.81. You can do this, people. It's not rocket scientist. Don't be swayed by some of the stuff you're seeing. And one of the things also that I look at, because I'm married and I have a wife, we got 2 little doggies, as you know. Ashley and the kids are coming down here on vacation. So I'm going to ask you a question. Even if you're on a fixed income, what's so bad about the economy? I've checked, gas prices are lower. Certain things, you go to the grocery store, even if you have the money, there's alternatives. I'm not going to buy these cookies, I'm going to buy these cookies. I'm not going to buy this chicken, I'm going to buy this chicken. I've told you before, if eggs are too expensive, okay, I can get a carton of egg whites. I go to a restaurant, I don't see much of a different pricing in the restaurants. Am I spoiled because I live here in South Florida? It's possible. It's possible life down here is different. I will accept that. We don't have a heating oil to pay for, so I don't even know what heating oil is right now in terms of the pricing on it. I haven't had to heat a house in, 30 years. No, that's wrong. I've had to heat a house, but it's electric heat that we run for like overnight and then turn it off before the sun comes up. But other than that, life has not seen any turn for the worse here. Nobody I know has seen it, especially down here, has seen life take a turn for the worse. So what you're seeing, in no uncertain terms, and it's undeniable, is a huge gaslighting scheme, a propaganda scheme going against you. Because the media and the Democrats want your wealth, or whatever wealth you have, to be redistributed to others. And we're finding out that these others are now feeling the pain. They're the ones feeling the pain, but they're telling you, you're going to feel the pain. Well, Trump said, you're going to feel the pain a little bit. He's talking about a bump. Possible you might see a price go up here or there, but your life isn't going to change. The quality of your life isn't going to change. You see, their quality of life is going to change. There's an old saying. I've seen Thomas Sowell say it. I've seen other people say it. Let me just show it to you. When someone is accustomed to privilege, and I will put a country, when a country is accustomed to privilege, you've been tariffing us, and we haven't even thought to punch back. You've had a huge privilege against us. You've been able to do whatever you want, and our country just submits. Completely acquiesces, drops our pants and bends over for the spanking and tell you we want some more. Please spank me harder. That's what America has been doing. So these people have been accustomed to privilege. And now, because he wants to do, what's the word? Reciprocal tariffs. We're going to come back at you. What happens? You feel like you're being oppressed because you're so used to taking advantage. You're so used to getting your way. When you can't get your way anymore, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do here? A big bad Trump. When you can't get your way anymore, you have 2 choices. You have 2 choices when you can't get your way. Do the right thing or get spanked back. And right now, President Trump is saying, we're not taking it anymore. You, as an American, need to actually stand up and embrace that and say, nope, I don't care. We're not taking it anymore. We're not going to take your crap. And so what will happen? Well, in the interim, some things might feel bumpy. You might not be able to get that vodka that you wanted. You might not be able to get that certain thing. But there's an alternative. Notice they never talk about that. Notice the media never mentions. If you want to hold up two different items and say, now with the tariff, this is going to cost this. Well, what if, is there no other companies that make this? What if I decided I wanted to buy this from, like, I don't know, Indiana? Oh, yeah, well, it's going to be cheaper. Well, buy that. Buy it. Buy, shop, not buy, shop. When you go to the store, most of us guys are conditioned to buy. You want to get in there and get out. And you go to shopping with my wife, and I'm in there for a period of time because we're walking up and down the aisles and looking and looking. And I'm like, can we just pick one off the shelf? No, now is the time to shop. Now is the time to be prudent. Now is the time to make sure that you're getting the most for your dollar. I don't need this one. I don't have to pay 50 cents a item more. I can buy the one just like it, just sitting on the same shelf. Okay, this is a lot cheaper. How about the Publix brand? Publix is our grocery store chain down here. So the Acme brand, the whatever brand you live next to, the store, the Winn-Dixie brand, whatever it is, Aldi, instead of the brand name. You're probably going to save a whole bunch of money because these people don't get it. I'm not worried about Canada being pissed off. I'm not worried about Canada shutting off the power up there. Nor should you be. I'm done giving at the office. Now it's all about making sure that home is secured. And then part of that security, obviously with me, is making sure we have gold or silver, preferably gold, to buy. It was funny, last night Rob and I were watching the movie, I don't know if you've ever seen it, The Italian Job, with Mark Wahlberg, Charlize Theron, Most Def, a couple people, Ed Norton, great movie. And they had gold bars. And with that gold bars, the bad guys and the good guys, everybody wanted these gold bars because they knew they could put them in a safe somewhere, and if anything hit the fan, they would have it. That's why I'm working with Lear Capital. As you know, President Trump has assembled the Avengers to make America great again. And of course, we're all excited and ready to see them get to work. But with everything we're seeing right now, don't take your eye off the ball. Things could get much worse before they get better. With the possibility of World War III still looming, and with the Democrats doing everything they can to impede Trump, you still need to keep your guard up and your money protected. Oh, and our national debt is still massively increasing. Don't get me wrong, I have high hopes for Trump's America, but I also have a family to look out for. You see, Trump and the Avengers have quite the uphill battle ahead. That's why I'm making sure I'm protected, and I'm recommending that you do the same. One way to be protected is by diversifying your portfolio. That's why on this channel I've been happy to partner with Lear Capital. As you know, I've been involved in real estate for quite some time. And although I dabbled in gold and silver, Kevin and his staff at Lear have helped to educate me even further, especially in regards to silver. Give Lear a call today and they'll show you how easy it is to move some of your savings or your retirement account into gold and silver. Gold and silver have been proven to hold value and protect wealth for the long term. Call Lear today at 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com to get your free gold and silver wealth protection guides. There's no obligation, just free information. Many of you have seen my interviews with Lear founder Kevin Demerit, and I can tell you this company is solid and likes to educate their customers. Just so you know, Lear has over 27 years of experience, thousands of 5-star reviews, and over $3 billion in trusted transactions, and is the only company with a 24-hour risk-free purchase. You don't pay unless you're 100% satisfied. So call 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. And when you call, don't forget to ask how you can get up to $15,000 in bonus gold or silver with a qualifying purchase. So if you'd like to take advantage of this opportunity, please call my friends at Lear Capital at 800-601-5430 and tell them Barry sent you. All right, before I dig into some stuff, President Trump has been obviously posting. And what I just said, here's a for instance for you. Despite the fact that Canada is charging the USA from 250% to 390% on many of our farm products. Let me just stop with that comma and put a period there. Did you know, or does our media know, that Canada has already been hitting us with the cane upside the butt, charging us 250% to 390%. Nobody seems to talk about that. We're just supposed to sit back and take it. We're America. You got it. Pay the money. Ontario just announced a 25% surcharge on electricity, and you're not even allowed to do that because our tariffs are reciprocal. We'll just get it all back on April 2nd. Tariff is a tariff abuser and always has been, but the United States is not going to be subsidizing Canada any longer. We don't need your cars, we don't need your lumber, we don't need your energy, and very soon you will find out, make America great again. Canada is negotiating on 3 legs instead of 4 legs like a stool. You have no leg to stand on. You cannot compete financially with the United States. Make all your big bravado statements you want in the press, but the bottom line is you don't have it like that. You have been hitting us for decades. And now even our media is so anti-American, they don't want us hitting back. But they'll never report that to you. It's disgusting. This is based on Ontario, Canada. Hold on, let me put this one up so you guys can see it better. Based on Ontario, Canada placing a 25% tariff on electricity. Coming into the United States, I've instructed my Secretary of Commerce to add additional 25% tariff to 50% on all steel and aluminum coming into the United States from Canada. You want to play? You're about to see it play. One of the highest tariffing nations anywhere in the world. This will go into effect tomorrow morning. Remember, Canada has a new leader who just walked in there. He's more liberal and nut jobby than Trudeau was. Also, Canada must immediately drop their anti-American farmer tariff of 250 to 390% on various U.S. dairy products. Now you really messed around. This is what I was telling you about Zelensky. The deal that will eventually get signed is not the deal that was already in place because now you showed your hand. Well, Canada, the same thing. Now you showed your butt. Now you done pissed him off. Now he's not only going to reciprocate there, but now you need to remove a tariff. On top of that, I don't know if you caught that. So he actually said that we're gonna hit you. We're gonna move it to 50%, and you also got to drop yours completely. Must immediately drop it. Now Canada has done messed up. You threatened America. You threatened America badly, and now what are you going to do? SV says there's something breaking. Of course there is. There always is. Yeah, okay. I literally just said this. Ukraine is willing to accept a 30-day ceasefire with Russia after talks with U.S. and Saudi Arabia. Duh! I just 30 seconds ago, I said the deal that was not... Yeah, you're right. We'll agree. What do you think that's going to do to the economy? You can't play with this guy. You're playing with the American public psyche, the propaganda and the BS, but he's oblivious to it. He don't care. I'm impervious and oblivious. You can't hurt me, and I don't care. That's what you need to get to. You need to get to a point where it's like, bring it. Do what you need to do. We are no longer going to take your crap. When you get to that position, you are in a very freeing situation. I will shortly be declaring a national emergency on electricity within a threatened area. This will allow the U.S. to quickly do what it has to be done to alleviate this abusive threat from Canada. If I were Canada, I would read that sentence and really let that sink in. I will do what has to be done to alleviate this threat. Canada, you put yourself in a position where you let your mouth write a check your butt can't cash. And you got a guy who's going to try and collect. And so now this guy is like a leg breaker. He's Luca Brasi. He's coming for you. You pissed him off. He's here to protect America at all costs. Y'all can go screaming in the press conferences. You can go on news 24/7 and whine. But doesn't care. I'm looking at long picture. If I have to destroy your economy, I'm going to do it. But Barry, that sounds so harsh. Who did you vote for? Did you vote for the guy that they dragged through the court for a year? Tried to take his property? Tried to take his life? What do you think was going to happen? This guy doesn't have one you-know-what left to give. And I'm sure he's told everyone in his cabinet, this is what we're going to do. I am going to make America great again. And those of you who, lived through different periods of time when America was great, understood America was great because we were dominant. We didn't pussyfoot around and say, oh, I hope, I wonder how they're going to feel about this. Are they all up in their feels? I wonder what this country is going to say. I wonder what the people over there are going to think about America. Now, America meant something when you showed up. Oh, can you spend some money here? Please, please, please. We love American dollars. Those of you who have traveled abroad before Biden understood. He'd go over there and be like certain currencies to pay for something, and you whip out the greenback. Oh, get American dollar, American dollar. Oh, yes, American dollar. Been to Jamaica, been to some countries where you whip out the greenback and they just a whole different way of talking to you. Whatever you need, sir. That's called being dominant. And if you don't like the feeling of being dominant, you voted for the wrong guy. You voted for an alpha male who's going to have alpha male tendencies, who's looking to bring other alpha males around him and let you know in no uncertain terms, I ain't playing, I ain't taking names, and don't FA, or you're going to find out. And unfortunately for us here in America, we've got too many people drinking too much soy. You've listened to all the complainers and the protesters and the whiners and the schmucks, and now they can't understand it. It just doesn't even cross their minds as to what is going on. And the reason why it doesn't cross their mind is because when you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. We're not going to take it anymore. We're done. Done. Finito. And you're hearing it from a guy who's backing it up. I want him, as Jack Nicholson said, on that wall. I need him on that wall. You do too. So I'm taking this little bit of time here to remind you, this is what you voted for. You voted for somebody who is going to, all right, say it. You heard it on July 13th. What's the refrain? Fight, fight, fight. Not bend over. Not kneel down, and definitely not bow. I've got some video to show you, and it's funny, the people on the left are trying to define what you voted for. Well, the American people voted for Trump for this, that, and that. No, we didn't. We voted for him to get in there and kick some ass. Not the price of eggs. I don't give a shit about an egg. Look at me. Do I look like I'm missing anything for not eating an egg? Seriously. Seriously. Get some. That's what I want. I want to get some. Booyah. man, if I was young enough, I'd be ready. I got a big backyard I can grow my foods in. Yep, stick it to them. Anyone who would turn a blind eye and put a title of saving children is disgusting. I will actually help. We're mad as hell. We're not going to take it anymore. It's pure and simple. They don't understand our psyche. They think that the constant barrage of what they consider bad news is going to shake you. Don't let it. Don't let them. That's the big thing that you have to, worry about. So let me get back into the whole Thomas Massie thing. And again, I'm completely underscoring, till today, recently, there's nothing that Thomas Massie has said that has made me think bad of him. Most of the stuff I completely agree with. But we got to get through this to get to where we need to get to. And so some people have asked me, can we go ahead and explain this? Well, without getting too far into the weeds, let's look at something. And when I look at this, when I show this to you, what I was mentioning is we need to get to budget reconciliation. This isn't the prize. We need to get the CR done so we can get to budget reconciliation. If the government shuts down, just to let you know, and I don't know which one, was it Congressman Timmons or Buddy Carter or Burchett, whichever one we had on the show, he confirmed, if it shuts down, you need 60 to reopen. If you need 60 to reopen, that means you need 7 or 8 Democrats. If you need 7 or 8 Democrats to reopen the government, they're going to drag you through the mud. And they're going to say, well, you don't do this, take this out. And eventually, there's going to be some sort of compromise that's going to hurt us. Count on that. So, when I say that Congressman Massie right now is planting his flag in quicksand, you're in a position where, number one, you're pissing off Donald Trump. Number two, you're probably pissing off Elon Musk. And you say it's not a big deal, but if you screw this up, your career is probably going to be over. Just saying. You are not going to compete with that mastodon coming at you. You need to get this done. As bad as it stinks, because you need to get to the real fight in September. So let me explain to you what budget reconciliation is. And it's really important that you understand what that means. Reconciliation, and this is NPR, so this isn't a hugely favorable site for Trump. They're going to just call it balls and strikes here. Reconciliation is the key to unlocking Trump's agenda. For most of you, you should have ended. We could just delete it right there. That's the key. If budget reconciliation is the key for Trump to do the rest of the stuff he wants to do, that should explain enough to you right there. Which is why the Democrats don't want to get to a budget reconciliation. They know if they shut down, they're going to get some concessions. They know if the CR goes through, then budget reconciliation, they're going to ram it down your throat. I want to see September come where we get everything we want and they can't stop us. So what is budget reconciliation? I'm skipping a lot of stuff. What exactly is reconciliation? Let's start at the beginning. Bills need to pass both chambers of Congress to become laws. In the House, a bill passes with at least 218 to support it. In the Senate, most bills need the support of 60. The Republicans only have 53. It's nice to have the majority, but okay. But one way to get around the 60-vote threshold and avoid the threat of a filibuster is budget reconciliation, a tool made possible because of the Congressional Budget Act of 1974. So if you have a budget reconciliation, you don't need 60. You win. You got 53 right now. It's over. Done. Even if a couple of them jump. Reconciliation allows the party in control to pass legislation with a 51 vote simple majority. That's it. That should be all you need to understand why we need to get to September. What is the process? Is it a two-stage process? What about keep hearing about vote-a-ramas where they can try and hold it up? But that's it. I mean, you can read all this. I don't want to waste all your time. But if we get to September, we win. It's that simple. Now, Congressman Massie, you can suck it up for the next week or so, and then when September comes, then plant a big old galvanized steel flag and say, this is what we're going to do. Now you're talking. Now it makes some sense. Right now, you don't make no sense. You're putting that thing in quicksand and getting everybody all messed up. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Massie making it all about him. The Democrats think that Donald Trump is going to cancel. Yeah, that's stupid stuff. Have they voted on the CR yet? Nope, I haven't seen it. Been looking. I'm sick of hearing about eggs. We got eggs from a farmer for my friend for 1.5 dozen for 15. What about the 3 rhinos who might vote against it? Murkowski and what's her name? Collins. But then it would be 50-50. And then what happens when it gets 50-50? J.D. Vance breaks the tie. So we're gonna win if we get past this next week. That's what we need to do. Let's see here. Somebody says Mark Mitchell just posted something interesting. I could probably pull that up. Thomas Massie just stated POTUS is spending his day attacking me, and the difference in Canada the difference is Canada. Oh, so he's like, Canada will cave, but I won't. Okay, don't. America will hate you. Again, Congressman Massie, we all believe in stuff that you believe, but tell us what happens if we don't get what we need to get the Trump agenda. You want to explain that one? Tell everybody what happens if it has to go to a 60-vote CR. Voting on CR around 4 p.m. today. Okay. It's not an easy thing, but the guy's standing on principle, whichever, people should stand on principle, but you got to think long term, bro. you got to think. This time you're digging your heels into something that doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Let's see, Rand Paul too. Yeah, it's possible. No, we have President Trump. I'm sick of these rhinos. It's funny because when they do vote, you're going to see the difference in party. The Democrats are going to be 0, none. We are not for this as a party. They know how to win. They know how to lose as well, but they know, what do we need to do? You want me, okay, I'm doing what you tell me. The Republicans out here want to make headlines and cause issues and everything else. Like, shut up. Shut up. I want you to explain, Thomas Massie, what happens and what's going to happen to Trump's agenda. It's shot. It's absolutely shot if we don't get it done. Understand it. Forget everything else. If you don't take away anything else from me talking today, as you go forward and start looking at different things, understand it's over. That's what you have to focus on. If they have to go to a 60 vote, well, you can see the numbers. It ain't ever happened unless there's big concessions. And if they concede, where do you think those concessions are going? Yeah, they're going right to Doge, which is probably what they want, because they're probably complicit. So I have this interview lined up here. This is when, I don't know if you've seen it, this is Elon did an interview yesterday, and the reason why it's important for you to see this is because the Democrats started taking snippets and lying. Well, see, there's right there. Elon said he's going to cut Social Security. Nope, he didn't say that. Didn't say that at all. Same thing President Trump has said. Nope, we're not cutting benefits. We're cutting the BS. And then somebody goes, it was a Bernie Sanders. Well, they're cutting employees and people can't get hold of anyone on the phone. I'm like, Have you tried to call the DMV? Have you tried to call, even if you're calling the IRS for some reason, you think they just sit there waiting for the phone to ring? Push 1 if you need this, push 2, and push 3, and still sit on your butt for 30 minutes. We'll get back to you. I'm like, Bernie, you sound stupid. But anyway, here's the interview that Elon Musk did with Larry Kudlow.
All right, we welcome to the show and a special interview with Mr. Elon Musk, who, of course, is famed Trump advisor, CEO of Tesla, SpaceX, chair of X Corp. Elon, thank you for doing this. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
I want to begin, but among other things, everyone's attacking you for your position. What are you doing in the government? There was a cyber attack on X today, which shut it down and may have been foreign sourced. Yes. It's a big story. You want to give us a moment on that?
Well, we're not sure exactly what happened, but there was a massive cyber attack to try to bring down the X system with IP addresses originating in the Ukraine area.
Oh, well, so that's your suspicion. Is the website, is the internet up? Is it up yet?
It's up, yeah.
It's up yet. Okay, good. But I just was looking back. Let me see if I get this right. They're setting fire to various Tesla charging stations near Boston. Shots were fired at a Tesla dealership in Oregon. Various nonviolent...
Shots fired, not a metaphor.
Shots fired, yes. Downtown New York, marching against the Tesla showroom. Your stock is way down. You've been criticized left and right.
But look on the bright side.
I mean, why are you doing this?
Always look on the bright side of life.
Yes, I'm an optimist.
Yeah. But besides that,
yes. I mean,
how's your day?
What motivates you to do this?
Was the opera good?
It's tough sledding.
Yeah, it is tough sledding. But I think we're doing the right thing here. There's been a tremendous amount of waste and fraud in the government. When you're part of the government, you saw a lot of that, and there's been. If you look at the Inspector General reports and the Government Accountability Office, there have been many audits that have pointed out that there's a tremendous amount of waste and fraud in the government. In fact, there was a report issued by the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, last year. So during the Biden administration, which estimated the federal government fraud to be $500 billion. So just because that's not a Trump administration thing, that's a Biden administration thing. So what we're trying to do is get that number down to a much smaller figure, save money for the American taxpayer, stop money being spent on things that I think very few taxpayers would agree make sense. Transgender animal surgeries, or why are we spending money? Why are American tax dollars being spent on this? The president's gone through a long list of absurd things. Why are the 20 million people who are definitely dead marked as alive in the Social Security database? Why were hundreds of millions of dollars of Small Business Administration loans were given out to people aged 11 and under, according to the Social Security? I mean, these must be some very enterprising 8-year-olds.
And some pretty strong 150-year-olds.
Yes, exactly. As the president said, we have an enormous number of people marked as alive who are 160. He didn't know the country was that healthy.
Yes. So demystify this. How do you do it? Okay. How big is your team?
Yeah.
Where'd you recruit most of them from? And what is it that makes you choose, the Treasury or Social Security or USAID? How does it work? Let the public know, please.
Right. Well, we just basically follow the money. We look at the president's executive orders, and we also just follow the money. So we started looking closely at USAID because they were completely violating the president's executive orders to suspend foreign aid, what's called foreign aid, but in our view is a lot of corruption. So what we saw there is just a tremendous amount of money being sent to...
So if I could just interrupt Mr. Elon for a second. That corruption that they found at USAID is now being confirmed epically. This came out just a little while ago. ProPublica just obtained, I don't know how they got it, but they just obtained a remarkable directive to those remaining at USAID. Empty the safes with the classified and personnel records and then, quote, shred as many documents first and reserve the burn bags for when the shredder becomes unavailable or needs a break. The email came from the agency's acting executive secretary. I asked Kel McClanahan, a national security attorney, if this was legal. He said, no, it's not, citing the Federal Records Act. Classified records are still federal records. I reached out to the State Department to ask them, but haven't heard back yet. McClanahan just filed an unauthorized disposition complaint with the National Archives and asked them to take immediate measures to stop the destruction of vast quantities of federal records. USAID, the same agency that Elon was just saying was ignoring President Trump's orders, the same agency that the judge said, you got to pay it, no matter what, is now telling the people who are still in the office, burn and shred federal records. And an order has gone out in Civil War fashion to burn, man the torpedoes, burn it all. Why would an agency that's doing reputable business do that? Why would somebody who's, following all the regulations and doing what they're supposed to be doing, why would they be doing that? Only answer is that's because they're corrupt as hell and probably criminal.
Non-governmental organizations, but actually, this, by the way, is I think one of the biggest sources of fraud in the world is government-funded non-governmental organizations. This is a gigantic fraud loophole where the government can give money to an NGO, and then there are no controls over that NGO. So they've given billions of dollars, in fact, we estimate tens of billions of dollars to NGOs that are essentially scams. And by the way, I'm trying to put a stop to that. So
I don't want to interrupt, but Secretary of State Rubio has just come out. I think he tweeted today. He has accepted over 80% of your recommendations to shut down in USAID. Right. So your review and analysis was spot on.
Speaking of Secretary Rubio, I've got a video real quick here. Sorry to interrupt, but this is breaking news. This is indeed Marco Rubio talking about what just happened in Ukraine.
Today we made an offer that the Ukrainians have accepted, which is to enter into a ceasefire and into immediate negotiations to end this conflict in a way that's enduring and sustainable and accounts for their interests, their security, their ability to prosper as a nation. I want to personally we both want to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, His Majesty, for hosting us, for making this possible. They've been instrumental in this process, and we're very grateful to them for hosting us here today. And hopefully we'll take this offer now to the Russians. And we hope that they'll say yes, to peace. The ball is now in their court. And but again, the president's objective here is, number one, above everything else, he wants the war to end. And I think today Ukraine has taken a concrete step in that regard. We hope the Russians will reciprocate.
So, Ukraine has agreed to the ceasefire and to continue negotiations. We don't have the details on what exactly is in the deal. Now he's going to take it to Putin and see if they'll agree. And what should happen in a normal world if a major conflict war ended? What would you foresee happening with the so-called stock market if it wasn't being manipulated? What would you think would happen? Yeah, it would stabilize and go up. If you watch over the next few hours that the stock market is not recovering, then you know for sure it's being manipulated. I said you know for sure. I already know. But you'll know if you don't see a quick bump. Oh, you're going to end the war? The war is, that's good stuff, right? That's Trump doing very well. You're ending a war Biden couldn't get done. It's all propaganda.
Yes. I think when people criticize, say, what Doge is doing, we say, well, which part specifically? Because we put all of the actions of the Doge team on the Doge.gov website and on the Doge handle on X. So we post the receipts. So it's like this action has been taken, this action has been taken. So when we get criticism, we say like, of what? Which line do you disagree with? Like which cost saving do you disagree with? And then people usually can't think of any.
No.
So
it's transparent line by line.
It's transparent line by line,
which is quite remarkable.
Right. And so, and then with respect to the Treasury, for example, the two main recommendations we suggested, which have now been implemented, was that any payments going out of the Treasury, especially the Treasury's main payment computer, which is called PAM, things like payments account manager or something like that, but it's like almost $5 trillion a year, so about $1 billion an hour, that the payments be coded with the congressional appropriation, and that there be an explanation for the payment. Very basic stuff. And just doing that, we estimate will save $100 billion a year.
You're not really, let me see if I get this right, particularly with Social Security, you're not really changing policy.
No,
You're auditing the fiscal mechanisms to make sure that, from point A gets to point B, and that's where it's supposed to get to. In some cases, it doesn't get there, or in some cases, it may go over there. But that's it's not a policy exercise. You're not changing laws. You're just doing what any business would do in a profit and loss audit.
I think we're really what we're adding here is caring and competence. And there's a massive amount of fraud of basically people submitting Social Security numbers for Social Security benefits, unemployment, Small Business Administration loans, and medical, where those are fake Social Security numbers, or they're stolen somebody else's Social Security number, and we're trying to put a stop to all of that. And that's the number which is estimated to be on the order of 10% of federal expenditures, which is, half a trillion dollars.
It's a huge number.
Yeah.
You're working with the agency heads. You're working with the cabinet secretaries.
Yes.
I saw Howard Lutnick was on TV yesterday saying you were partnering with them. Is that fair?
Yeah. What we do is in consultation with the cabinet secretaries and with their departments. So we're really trying to be we'll refer to ourselves as tech support. We're really helping the department get a handle on things, because what actually happens here is you've got this sort of vast federal bureaucracy, and then you've got a very thin layer on top of the politically appointed officials, and what tends to happen is that the bureaucracy, frankly, is in control, and they largely ignore the politically appointed people.
Why should the bureaucracy?
I'm sure you must have seen that.
I've lived with this twice. I worked for Reagan many years ago, and I worked for Trump in the first term.
Yeah.
It's like a permanent bureaucracy. I might add, it's a permanently liberal bureaucracy.
Yes, very much so.
And it doesn't. It's not a bureaucracy that necessarily enforces or implements presidential policy.
They don't. In fact, they try their best to thwart presidential policy. So the president is the elected representative of the people. And if the president cannot get things implemented as a reflection of the will of the people, then what we have is not a democracy, we have a bureaucracy. We have rule of the bureau, not rule of the people. And that's what we're trying to defeat here is the bureaucracy and have rule of the people. As you mentioned, the bureaucracy is overwhelmingly Democrats. So Washington, D.C. was 92.5%, I believe, voted for Kamala. So this is overwhelmingly a deep blue situation.
How do you pick your next targeted agency or department?
Well, we're trying to act broadly across all departments, so it's not just one department at a time. Are
you in all of them now? All of them?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes. Oh.
We're trying to make the government more efficient, across the board. So yeah.
How big's your team?
We're a little over 100 at this point.
100.
Get to 200.
You're going to get to 200.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're recruiting from where? More or less.
Basically, it's software people, information security software people, and finance. It's basically, finance and technology. I mean, frankly, I can't believe I'm here doing this. It's kind of bizarre, but I kind of think that we've got this enormous federal budget deficit, and it's a $2 trillion deficit. It keeps growing. Our interest payments are higher than our Defense Department budget. That's I think was the real wake-up call for me, was looking at seeing that the interest payments to national debt exceeded the Defense Department budget. And that was only growing over time, which meant if we didn't do something about this, then there won't be any money for anything. We'll just be servicing debt.
And you know how to read an income statement, and you know how to read a balance sheet. You've had some business experience. I'm kidding, but you know about this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, really, I just don't want America to go bankrupt.
So it's a call to action. You're hearing a call to action.
Yeah.
You giving up your other stuff? I mean, how are you running your other businesses?
With great difficulty.
This is great right here. You can see him pause and look away when the guy asked him, Larry Kudlow asked him, how are you doing in your other businesses? And you can see the sacrifice he's making.
Yeah, I mean...
But there's no turning back, you're saying?
I'm just here trying to make government more efficient, eliminate waste and fraud, and so far we're making good progress, actually. So our savings at this point exceed $4 billion a day. Mm-hmm. So it's very significant.
You think you'll wind up getting to $1 trillion?
Yeah.
Of savings?
I mean, unless we're stopped, we will get to $1 trillion of savings.
And that stuff can be translated. I mean, we had Russell Vogt, the OMB director, on earlier, through very rescission authority, impoundment authority. But I believe you said it earlier. It's an audit that will not gather dust on shelves. This is actually going to wind up with real savings, bend the spending baseline down. There have been many good audits, like I said, done by inspector generals and by Government Accountability Office, and they just haven't been implemented. Nothing's been done. I think the GAO identified that there were 17 million dead people in the Social Security database several years ago. It's now 20 million, but nobody did anything about it.
Did you notice the question at the press conference today? I pointed it out. I commented on it. That's another angle that the left is going to use right now. Elon just said how many dead people, old people, kids are on these things. And at the press conference, the lady asked Caroline, and she puts it just in a question format. So Elon said blah, 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 blah with no evidence and just kept going on. I'm like, what do you mean, no evidence? Caroline didn't go back after her, but that is a common refrain from the left. Oh, there's no evidence. No, you mean the data is not that? What do you want us to do? Bring the crypt out and show you dead people getting paid? The evidence is there. It's the actual data. Unless you're thinking he's making up the data. Is that what you're saying? By the way, I'm keeping an eye on something. And it's, I literally just told you about this. And I just wanted to show you something. So since the announcement that the ceasefire was being approved, do I have the right window? Yeah, this window. Can you see that? Hey, let me just refresh it so you know Barry's not faking it. Okay, bingo. So, this is, what time was this? This was at 1:30 Down here at the bottom was at 130. And then look what happened. It just started going up and up and up and up since the announcement has been made. And you can tell the fighting that's going on with it. It started going up here, took a dip, up, dip, up, little plateau. So they're fighting it. There's no reason for that to happen. People jumping in, day traders maybe taking some profit, but you get information that a major 3-year plus war is now ending. That's nothing but good news. There's nothing bad associated with that. Maybe to some people. maybe now you're going to start seeing why they were so against a ceasefire, a end of the war. And then you have to ask, well, a prudent person would ask, very quickly, someone in the media should say, wow, you did that in 7 weeks? How did the other guy not do it in, 4 years? They're not gonna ask that question. Everybody already knows the answer. They didn't want it to end. It was a grift. And so Trump is slowly, with Elon's help, just tightening the spigot. Even with all the lawsuits, a whole lot of money is being clawed back. Even if the judge said, hey, you got to send $2 billion here or there, it's still coming back down. It's contracting. They can't stop it. And you're seeing people freak out. And literally, you can watch this Dow Jones thing like it's a baseball game, because it just keeps, I just refreshed it. It went up again. So all those people who were in the press conference, call them back in, Caroline. Hey, oh yeah, come back here, come in. Watch this. What's happening? What exactly is happening here? If it was about the tariffs are still happening, right? Yeah, the tariffs are still going to happen. April 2nd still coming. Yeah, April 2nd still coming. I'm still going to beat up on Canada and Mexico, right? Yeah. So what changed? What changed that is causing this thing to spark? And I mean, literally, every time I refresh, the thing just jogs up a little bit more. I've got it sitting here, and I'm thinking, why are they not running back out asking any questions? We're tightening, we're contracting on the aid and the fraud and abuse, and he's stopping a war. And lo and behold,
I think we could sort of look at this as a complaint minimization optimization. So basically, if the government sends money out to, whether it's wasteful or fraudulent, nobody complains if they receive money, but they do complain if they don't receive money. And the people that complain the loudest are the ones receiving the fraudulent money.
And you're on it.
Yeah. I mean, just
I hate to be interrupted, y'all, because that's a very important man. But you can tell how fast things happen. Most people go on and they do a show and they just stay with the show. And I've got two people, Ashley and SV, are just firing stuff at me. And I'm like, this is funny. One of the things that when you're a guy, or you might be a strong lady, and like, don't test me. don't FA and find out. Well, breaking. Canada caves to President Trump. Ontario, Mr. Ford, just announced they've dropped their 25% surcharge on electricity being delivered to several U.S. states. This comes just hours after President Trump threatened to retaliate. Another massive win. You don't even have to have an economics degree. You don't have to be immersed in political science. You're just seeing it. You're just seeing all this stuff, and it's happening all day long, which is why I'm having to go to a 12 o'clock show, because there's just too much going on. It just keeps happening. He is winning. He's forging ahead. He's pushing through. He's beating up on these people. And they're, okay, all right, I won't do it. I was talking crap. I was talking out of my butt. Don't beat me over the head. Come on, I had to look good for my people up here in Ontario. I had to say I was going to smack you around. I didn't know you were going to hit me back. You know why? Because it used to work. You see, people aren't used to an American president going, oh, you want some? Let's go. And they can say what they want and do what they want. And most American presidents go, okay, we need to take a poll. Let's see what people think about it. What's the media think? How's it working out? Okay, how soon can you get me a poll? 24, 48 hours? Okay. And Trump's like, no, I'm going to come at you right now. Here's my True Social, and you got, about a couple hours. That's it. And I'm hitting you. And right away, I mean, you've seen over the last 10 days some bravado that is just insane. You've never seen an American president tell another leader, get the hell out. And don't even get a sandwich on your way out. Just get out. They're not used to this. Not the media. None of them. They don't know what to do with, especially with a guy who's not, as of right now, supposedly can't run for re-election. And so he's got nothing to lose. Let's finish up with Elon.
So the goal here is let's not have America go bankrupt with waste and fraud. So that's what I'm here for, and we're making good progress.
Yes, you are. You're going to go another year?
Yeah, I think so.
Final report, middle of next year?
Well, we're just getting things done as opposed to writing a report. Like say, reports don't mean anything. You got to actually take action.
Yes.
So the waste report in entitlement spending, which is which is most of the federal spending is entitlements. So that's like the big one to eliminate. Because that's the sort of $500 billion, maybe $700 billion a year. That is also a mechanism by which the Democrats attract and retain illegal immigrants by essentially paying them to come here, and then turning them into voters.
Yes.
So this is why the Democrats are so upset about the situation, because they're losing. If we turn off this gigantic money magnet for illegal immigrants.
What you mean if? What do you mean if, Elon? You've turned it off. They're freaking out because you did just that. It's dry, it's dusty at the southern border. Too bad.
Then they will leave, and they'll lose voters.
But you have President's support. He said so again yesterday. He completely supports your operation.
Yeah. Well, thanks. But that's without the President's support, we couldn't make any progress here. Yeah. I mean, where you'll see the biggest outcry is from the Democrats who are they don't want the waste and fraud to be turned off because it is a gigantic magnet to attract illegal immigrants and have them stay in the country. And I mean, you see some of the crazy stuff, like where money from FEMA, which is meant, FEMA is an agency that's meant to take care of Americans in distress. And a bunch of their money was being sent to pay for luxury hotels in New York for illegal immigrants. And that was happening even after the president was elected, and even after he signed an executive order saying that needs to stop. So we actually made sure that money did stop going, because obviously it's outrageous that American taxpayer money is spent on luxury hotels for illegals. But you have to say, like, why was that being done? It was because the Democrats are trying to import voters, basically.
Yes. I agree.
Yeah. And that's also why there's no voter ID needed. In fact, in California and New York State, you're not allowed to show voter ID. Doesn't that seem insane?
Insane.
Yeah.
I say that as a New Yorker. It's insane.
Yeah, insane.
And it violates the entire Constitution and the principles behind it.
Yes.
Producers are yelling at me to get out. I don't want to end this interview because it's too much fun.
Yeah.
Can I just ask you one thing, 20 seconds? Nothing to do with Doge. Can you rescue the astronauts?
Yes, we're bringing them back in a few weeks.
There's not near enough attention being paid to this. You're going to get them back?
We're going to get them back.
God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your service, Elon Musk. We appreciate it very much. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you.
Big stuff happening. Big stuff happening. All right, before I get into finishing up this story, I got to show you what's going on at the White House. I'll be right back. Hey, if you'd like to join 15,000 plus fellow patriots on X in our private X/Twitter group, go to fanfareshop.org/group. Just put in that URL in your browser. It'll take you right to our private group on X. Love to see you there. Let's share some content. And if you'd like to win a hoodie, or rather if you'd like to enter to win a hoodie, go to fanfareshop.org, fanfareshop.org, and register to win a Trump hoodie.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so I got to show you this thing here. Again, it's just, you can see the profit taking, you can see what's going on, and it's just, it's a rocket ship, baby. It's a rocket ship. Just look at that. And this isn't like days, and this is today. So it reached its lowest point at 130. And since 130, this thing has just taken off and just keeps going up. It just keeps going. Let me see if I can refresh. Boom. See the dip? Those dips there, pay attention to them. Buy the dip. Buy the dip. When you see the trend line is like this. So a dip, a momentary dip, it's going up. That's at that's right now, 3:08 p.m. It just keeps going up. So since 1:30, when all this stuff has been happening, it's just going up, back up to where it's supposed to be, as much as you would have expected to. So this just happened. the troller in chief, the chief troller, incredible. All Tesla models have arrived and are lined up at the White House for President Trump to choose from. So you got these people bombing Tesla dealerships. They're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And meanwhile, he's pushing the Tesla. And I know the Democrats are going to complain, and they say, you can't do that. You can't just keep, trying to promote a product. Yeah, well, guess what? He is. This is Tesla stock. It's up 6% today. 6% today. Unreal. Again, Tesla stock started going up at the exact same time as the stock market. 130. Something happened at 130 when, bam, everything started going up. If you look at the data, you can see what's happening. So right now, Canada has waved the white flag. We just need Massie. I don't want Massie to wave the white flag. I just need him to pull it out of the quicksand, and then, just understand. Just wait. We'll get this done. We'll get it done, and then we'll get to budget reconciliation. There was some information earlier today. Who was it? Let's see if I can find it. I think it was Mark Mitchell may have posted something. Let me see if I can find what Mark said, because Mark Mitchell posted something. Okay, now I got to go take another video down. And Robin's like, she's like, you make people wait because you got to pull these videos down because I don't even know they're there until I click on them. But you just heard the interview with with Trump, and now he's outside with Elon taking questions, and not on television. But let's see here. Hold on. Let me bring this up.
But very importantly, and I said it, Ukraine, ceasefire. Ukraine, ceasefire. Just agreed to a little while ago. Now we have to go to Russia, and hopefully President Putin will agree to that also, and we can get this show on the road. We can get this horrible war where 2,000-3,000 soldiers a week, every week, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 sometimes. I get the reports. And they're not American soldiers. They're Ukrainian, and they're Russian. But people are being killed outside of that. People are being killed in the cities as things explode throughout the cities. And we want to get that war over with. So I think it's a very big, I think it's a big difference between the last visit you saw at the Oval Office and this. So that's a total ceasefire. Ukraine has agreed to it, and hopefully Russia will agree to it. We're going to meet with them later on today and tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be able to wipe out a deal. But I think the ceasefire is very important. If we can get Russia to do it, that'll be great. If we can't, we just keep going on and people are going to get killed. Lots of people.
Okay, so now here's the next one.
Hello, President Trump. Are you looking to buy or lease today?
Well, I'm going to buy. And I'm going to buy because, number one, it's a great product, as good as it gets. And number two, because this man has devoted his energy and his life to doing this. I think he's been treated very unfairly by a very small group of people. And I just want people to know that you can't be penalized for being a patriot. And he's a great patriot. And he's also done an incredible job with Tesla. And I mean, nobody else has a car company started up in the last 30 years that's been successful. I don't think so. And not only successful, but super successful. And because he's able to find billions and billions and billions of dollars of fraud and waste and all of the things. I mean, our country is going to be very strong very soon because of a lot of the things that he's done and a lot of the things that I'm doing. And there's no better team, but there's no better for what we're doing. There's nobody like this, and he shouldn't be penalized. And when I watched the other day, I said, I can't believe it. It should be the opposite. People should be going wild, and they love the product, but because he's finding all sorts of terrible things that have taken place against our country, they want to penalize him in an economic sense. And I just think that's very unfair. So I just wanted to make a statement. I'm going to buy one. Now, here's the bad news. I'm not allowed to drive because I haven't driven a car in a long time, and I love to drive cars. But I'm going to have it at the White House, and I'm going to let my staff use it. I'm going to let people at the place use it. And they all are all excited about that. I'm not allowed to use it. Can you believe it? One of my great things in life is that I can, I like to drive cars, but I'm not allowed
to. I got one more for you coming. Importing it as we speak. He's talking this time about, actually this. I got two more for you. Got this talking about eggs.
But we didn't have these problems. I had no inflation. I had a great economy. He gave you high prices. You couldn't buy bacon. You couldn't buy anything. And also, I inherited a situation with eggs. The price of eggs was through the roof. Well, now the price of eggs has come down a lot. Interest rates have come down. Gasoline prices have come down. It's all coming down. It's all a beautiful thing. I can do it the right way or the wrong way. We're doing it the right way. And I have tremendous confidence in this country and the people of this country. Tremendous confidence. Much more so than if I sat back for 4 years and had a good time in the Oval Office.
And what is your message, President Trump, buying a new car while there are some folks who will see this clip at home and they are struggling with their retirement accounts down at the moment, uncertainty about work ahead?
Well, I think they're going to do great. I think our country had to do this. We had to go and do this. They've taken away, other countries have taken away our business. They've taken away our jobs. I did it initially very strongly against, as you know, China and some others in the first term. And it was a very successful term. We had no inflation. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. And then we had COVID, which we had to straighten out, so I didn't want to be doing anything with respect to other countries at that time. And we did a great job with it. We handed the stock market over. It was higher than it ever was. And think of that, higher than it ever was to that point before. And nobody thought that was even possible. We did a great job. But we had the greatest economy in history. This economy, in my opinion, is going to blow it away. But what I have to do is I have to get the workers back. I have to get the factories open. We have 90,000 factories and plants are closed from what you had just prior to NAFTA, which is not very long ago. 90,000, think of it, 90,000 factories and plants are closed from what it was, and it's just not right. So And we gave it away. Presidents before me gave it away, and I could name every one of them. But they gave it away, and we're taking it back. We're taking our jobs back.
I have an announcement to make that I think will be helpful. I want to say, as a function of the great policies of President Trump and his administration, and as an act of faith in America, Tesla is going to double vehicle output in the United States within the next 2 years.
It's
Double.
a big deal. That's great. Thank you. And by the way, he makes one car. This one I don't understand. This one I don't want, but that's okay. Without a steering wheel. It comes out next year, right?
Yes.
Explain that, please.
Yes. Well, the Cybercab starts production in Texas next year, and it's self-driving. We have so much confidence in the self-driving nature of it that it'll actually not have a steering wheel. It will not have pedals. It'll either self-drive or not drive at all, but it'll self-drive.
President Trump,
And I'm going to pass on that particular.
I'm trying to cut these and drop them in as fast as they get posted. It's not live, but they're getting posted by the White House, and so I'm like cutting them and bringing them in as fast as I can. That was the latest one. I'll keep looking. But just to recap what you heard, Elon Musk is going to, quote, double the production of Teslas in the United States within the next 2 years. Double the production. So much for terrorizing him. So much for, hoping this guy would back down. Yeah, you screwed up. He's going to put his foot on the proverbial accelerator. And, sorry, we're going to make double the amount of cars. You effed around and found out there as well. You think you're going to make this guy shudder. And then President Trump was talking about the eggs. The eggs have come down. Interest rates have come down. Gasoline prices have come down. It's all coming down. We're doing it the right way. And I have tremendous confidence in this country and the people of this country. Then he also announced about Ontario Premier Doug Ford will not be charging the surcharge. He didn't say anything about making the guy basically go back on his word. He just said they're not doing it. He also said that Ukraine just agreed to a ceasefire. It's on and on and on. And he's buying one of these cars. It's insane. And this is all in the last 20 minutes. And it's just going to keep going. Meanwhile, the Democrats, we're going to shut down the government or something. Oh my goodness, good grace. 18 pack is $6.99. It makes me feel so good seeing Elon with his son right by his side. He's going to rub it in their faces now. Support Elon by buying. You know what? I don't even like electric cars, but you're right. I may have to just go ahead and buy one just to support this guy. Just use it like a golf cart. I don't know. Get one of the small ones and drive it around like a golf cart. I want a Cybertruck, but yeah, maybe we have to look at a Cybertruck. Oh, she's not here. That's right. She won't. She doesn't like it. What do those cars look like? What does a Cybertruck look like? Here. If you haven't seen one before, this is what a Cybertruck looks like. If you haven't had the pleasure of being in one or haven't seen one, let me remove that comment so you can see real quick here. That's what the Cybertruck looks like. It's a space age looking truck. It's pretty wild. It's roomy. It's electric. It's big. I think the ticket price on it is about, 170, 180,000 right now. It's an expensive vehicle, but the other ones aren't that high. I wouldn't mind a hybrid. It's crazy. Tesla share is going up. Good day to be in America. Good day to be in America. I mean, it's so crazy. Now, I had the daily 10, but I'm going to wait for the night show to do that because you guys have already been here for 2.5 hours. And with the after party, it's going to be 3 hours. And I've got an interview I've got to record promptly at 6. So I'm going to stop today's show at this point. Tonight, for sure, there will be a night show because I'm not sure if you're aware of it. There's a round table with business CEOs, CEO of was it? Not Chrysler. I forget. One of the big automakers. Tim Cook is going to be there as well. So there's a lot going on. Big day, absolutely huge day, and also the vote. Well, when are they supposed to vote? Somebody said at 4 o'clock, but I can't stay on because I've got to get ready for tonight. You know what I'm probably going to do? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put on C-SPAN, and nope, I can't do that either. Oh, I got to shut down because I got to edit and I got to do a recording. I got to record this interview, so I can't do that. But I will see you very shortly. I forgot to do super chats. Glad I brought that up. Let's see here. We'll do super chats, and then we'll disconnect. And I got to do my interview, and then I'm going to come back tonight. Let's see, at 8 o'clock, and we've got a full show at 8 o'clock. So where did I just go? All right, so here, let me see here. All right, let's get the super chats in. Annie Welch, oh my God, Barry, 5 new businesses in my area in the last 2 weeks. There have been 3 houses that have been sitting, finally sold here in Lakeland. Trump effect? Yeah, Nightly Howls, Massie, many kids, wife died mysteriously. Oh, wow. That sucks. Awful. Randy, thank you. George Rivera, stocks and tariffs, Can 4 Canadian wood goes down, Weiser House or U.S. wood goes up. Yeah, that's how it works. Ladybug from Canada here. If the idiot turns off the power, that can be classified as an act of war or war crime. He better not do it. Go MAGA. I'm pretty sure President Trump said that to him. Like, you sure you want to do that? Because I'm going to roll the tanks in. Pete Heggs is just waiting to play with his toys. Yeah. Ladybug. Okay, yeah. Celeste. Thank you for clear explanations about the CR and why it's important to pass it. I didn't know once government shuts down, it takes 60 to reopen. That's huge. That is the catalyst for everything. That's why the Democrats, when you see them acting a certain way, they're not protecting anybody. They're looking to protect themselves. They know if it shuts down, it takes 60 to reopen, and then they'll get a deal on something. Mr. Anderson, Dems want another omnibus bill. Yep. Ken Howell, still waiting on the email, but I know you're busy. I thought I sent it. Maybe I sent it to the wrong email address, but I will check. I'm pretty sure I sent it. Where'd that go? Raven Kirkendall, they'll say the data was manipulated by Doge. Good luck with that. Pete Czar. I'm not sure what currency that is, but thank you very much. Czar. Is that not New Zealand? I have to check what it is, but thank you. I can clip if you want some. Get some. The Drizzle, FAFO, American, yes. Tamra, Saved by Grace. Phenomenal job, Barry and Mods. Thank you for all you do. There's a pink Cybertruck over in Lighthouse Point. What is it, Mary Kay Cosmetics or something? And David Joyner, thank you very, very much. All right, so I'm going to stop now, and then I'm going to basically I've got an interview I've got to save, and then I got to cut some video, and then I'll be back on at 8 o'clock tonight. By then, we'll have probably video on the roundtable meeting and all the other stuff that we can talk about in the news today, because I'm sure at 3:30 there's going to be a lot more to discuss. Thank you guys for hanging in there through all this. Man, getting closer to actually trying to settle in to my timing. Today was pretty good. I'm sorry Nancy Mace couldn't make it because obviously they're doing a whole bunch of stuff in the house, but Caroline Levitt sure enough, held her own. And just remember this. I think you should write that down, because that's very important moving forward. When people, especially the Democrats, have gotten so used to having their way, they've gotten accustomed to being privileged, they feel oppressed when they realize at this point that things are equal. And you can see that no further than looking here on YouTube and people like me and Benny and other people who now have voices. You can see it on X. They can't stand it. They can't stand the fact that we have some equality. We're allowed to talk about things. We're allowed to get out there and share our opinions and our videos and our tweets and everything else. And to them, that's a bad thing. Oh my God, it's so vile. These people are, they shouldn't be allowed to breathe the same air as we do. But unfortunately, we do. We get to breathe it. All right, we'll see you guys in a very short period of time. And yes, I will confirm, I will be going on at 8 p.m. Some people often will write some stuff into the X group. What, is Barry coming on? I don't know if Barry's coming on. I'm coming on. I'll be back at you in a little while.
you.